Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Smith for the greatest business stories of St. Louis. And today I got John Boll. And John, tell us a little bit about your business.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate you having me on today. My name of my business is the Credit Care Company. We are a full service credit restoration company. We are the oldest and best reviewed company in St. Louis. We have over 200 5-star reviews on social media. Um, my main motivation for doing this is helping people reach their goals in the shortest time possible.
Great. So tell us a little bit about what made you get into this business 15 years ago. It's not always something that someone would think about starting. It's a little bit non-traditional business. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I was a mortgage broker for 7 years. And I worked
Okay.
in several different mortgage companies, and I dealt with a lot of people that had credit issues. And I was helping them go through getting their credit scores up to help them get the mortgage. And I was getting tired of dealing with underwriting because this was after not too long after '08, and it was just underwriting was a pain in the neck. And I really enjoyed helping people, so I kind of transitioned over into doing full-time credit restoration. And the way I go about it, I'm a little bit of a different animal than what's out there. I specialize on helping people build their credit up, clean up what's on the report, and then is the last thing is help them clean up any kind of debt they might have, settle it for less. Basically, get everybody on a clean slate, and then they can move forward in building their credit.
Great. That's great service. So who's your um who's your ideal customer and where do you find those ideal customers at, or where do they find you?
That is a tough question because you hear that a lot. Define your ideal customer. I get all walks of life. I mean, I get people in their 20s, I get people in their 50s. My ideal customer is somebody that 80% of the folks I deal with are trying to buy a house and their scores aren't there. I turn them around quick. But my ideal customer is somebody that's just trying to reach that goal, be it a car, be it a house, and their credit's not there. I
Gotcha.
think that's the best way to describe it.
Right. So someone who's got a credit score that's not hitting the number that is needed by the mortgage company or the car financing company, and you're trying to help them improve that, is what I
Right,
heard. Right.
right.
So I'm gonna get a little scientific here. So I'm gonna give an
Sure.
example. So back before a couple of years before the meltdown, the real estate meltdown, I owned 6 rental properties. Um, and I want people to know this because the credit scores are sometimes things out of your control that cause that, right? So I had 6 rental properties. I had a home equity line of credit on each one. That was zero balance on a lot of them, right? But I had a 25, let's say $25,000 on all 6 of them. So you have those numbers out there, and all of a sudden, when they changed all the laws and said you can no longer have a
Right,
HELOC on a mortgage, and then all the credit cards capacity that I had, $50,000 capacities, all those went down to like 5,000. So within a week and a half of the laws went into effect, within a week and a half, my credit score dropped by 150 points, and I did absolutely
right.
positively nothing. Never spent a dollar, never did anything else. So tell us a little bit about how you can help your clients maneuver out of some of those situations where, hey, I paid my bills all my life, I've done all these things all my life, but some regulation has changed.
Yeah. But it was funny because I was doing mortgages back in pre '08, and it was crazy times. If you had a pulse and a 500 credit score, you could get a mortgage with no money
Yeah,
down. It was just insane.
right,
As far
right.
as with credit helping people, I'm a numbers guy, and a lot of the companies that do what I do don't
Huh?
focus on the what makes up a FICO score. And basically, it's 35% of your score is installment payments, 30% is credit cards, and then 15% is linked to credit history. That's 80% of the score. And then 10% is types of credit, and then inquiries is the other 10%. But what I focus on is making sure people have installment payments active, at least 2 to 3, which is what the bureaus require. And then I also make sure they have at least 2 major credit cards, 2 minor credit cards. And believe it
Gotcha.
or not, that is right there's 65% of the score. So it's just making sure that those things are in place.
Excellent. Excellent. Great. So tell us about Tell us about one of your biggest successes where you've taken someone that was really, they come to you and you're on the edge, like, I'm not sure if this is gonna this is gonna work out for us. And tell us about one of those stories where it ended up working out for you and working out for your client.
Oh gosh, there's been a ton. One that comes to mind, and one of the portions of what I do is I help people settle their debt for less. And I had a gentleman that had a $13,000 repo, and I helped him settle it for 3 grand.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was in it, and he was happy. But one of the things for your audience, if anybody out there is trying to settle debt and their collections with a collection company, what you need to do is wait till the last 2 to 3 days of the month to settle it. All the collection companies pay their employees on commission. And if it's the last of the month that they have not met their quota, or if they're trying to pad their paycheck, you can settle. I mean, if you have $1,000 debt, and it's over 2 years old, you can settle that for $2 or $300. And that's one of the
Wow.
things that I help my clients with, is
Wow.
settling debt for less.
It's a great trade secret you shared with all of us. We greatly appreciate that. So you went from the mortgage business and you went into, the credit repair. So I asked this question, if you read the book, The E-Myth, right? At some point in time, entrepreneurs like yourself have a entrepreneurial seizure, right? They say, I'm going to go do this. What you kind of told us a little bit about that earlier, but what made that you have that entrepreneurial seizure and decide to seize the day and go do that?
Um, I was helping a lot of people, and I just noticed the need. And like I said, had switched mortgage companies, and I just got tired of dealing with the BS. And I just it just spur of the moment. It's like, all right, so I'm gonna do this full time. And the opportunity came up, and I took it. Sometimes you just gotta
Oh,
you gotta go for it. You gotta wing it, and
right.
that's what I did. And it's just never looked back and just kept on going.
Well, the next question around that is, what's your most memorable hurdle? So, everybody has those times where you sit there and decide, is this what I should have done or shouldn't have done? Tell us about one of those hurdles that you've overcame, or you can tell us about more than one if you have. But the most memorable hurdle that you overcame in the last 15 years, in starting your business to where you're at today.
Oh gosh. It's more the technical stuff. I'm not a real technical guy. And then, just some of the software you get, as far as the way you got to do your letters and different things for the credit bureaus. That was kind of a jump. You just got to push through it. And one of the things that I've been doing a lot is just blocking time. So if I have something that I need to accomplish, I'll block a period of time out, and then that's all I focus on. And I've found that that's really helped a lot. So that's one of the things that I've been doing quite a bit.
Right. So the recent topic we have is around elections, and of course, the Fed setting the rates. And I'm going to let you get into some of the science and wizardry around your business. Um, does that help your business, or does that hinder your business when there's new elections and they're getting ready to set the new rates? How does that work?
I mean, when the rates go down, my phone starts ringing more, because a lot of
Okay.
the people that I work with are mortgage people and real estate people. And when they get a
Uh,
client that isn't quite there, they'll call me up and let me know, and then I'll help that person achieve their goals. And one of the things that also kind of sets me apart from my competition is I only work with folks for a limited amount of time. Most of your other credit
okay.
repair companies, you call them, they're going to tell you 6 months to a year. And I have, after 15 years, I got it down to a science. In the longest I work with anybody is 120 days. And if people do
Oh,
what I
wow.
tell them, I'll get them ready for a home loan in 90. And that's with scores in the low 500s going up.
Wow, that is an incredible that's an incredible transformation and improvement for someone to get that moving so fast. So we think about your business over the next 3 to 5 years, and I'm just thinking from the interviews I've had with others and my experience as a homeowner and owning rental properties. So there's seems to be a demand for housing. There seems to be a low inventory, and we've got a lot of folks who, came out of COVID, out of college, et cetera. They've had to live at home or had to live in apartments with 3 or 4 people. Where do you see your business going the next 3 to 5 years? Do you see where do you see it going with those changes?
Um, I don't know. With the regulations, I think it's going to get a little more stringent as far as for what I do. Um,
Okay,
and I see, and one of the things I also do is I do business credit and business funding. So I see
okay,
myself as a business expanding more into that
mhm,
aspect of it. The other thing I'm really big on is education. Go to my website. I got like 5 ebooks you can download.
okay,
And that's my biggest gripe. And I pray to God Trump does something when he's in
mhm,
office as far as educating our population. And then as far as kids coming out of school, I mean, they don't know jack about finance. And it's insane. The first thing when they graduate, they get inundated with credit cards with no user manual. So one of my passions um, is education. And I do credit seminars for the Urban League.
oh,
I do different seminars as far as for real estate. If you know, I'll go into an office and just try and educate their employees and so forth.
great. Great. So I'm a big networker in BNI, and there's a group called the Number Nine here, and also a group called the Freddie Group, and then a member of another group. But anyway, how do you network and work with different groups, or is that something that you just kind of do it through referrals, or how do you work? What's your best marketing?
Mostly through referrals. I mean, I work with like a ton of different. I work with over 100 loan officers and real estate people.
Okay.
So I'm not committed to like any particular organization, but if
Okay.
someone calls me and say, "Hey, we got a meeting coming up. We'd like you to speak," I'm there.
That's great. That's great. And so for all you realtors who are out there and others who give loans, here's your guy to come and speak at your next staff meeting. All right. So what do you think the key to success is? You've been doing this for 15 years. You've been doing it for a while. You've got competitors that are out there. You're able to get this magic formula down to 120 days. Like you said, if they follow, right? It's like coaching and consulting. You got to do what we ask you. Um, Tell us what your key to success is for you.
Well, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's all
Mm,
about listening and finding out the customer's needs by listening. And that's what I do. When I first talk to somebody, it's all about, what's your situation? And then also try and be a problem solver. And that's what I try and do as far as with the credit building, because I guarantee if people follow the credit builder list that I give them, I guarantee their score is going to go up 50 to 100 points in 60 to 90 days if they don't have any established credit or very little. So, my big thing is just basically trying to help people. At this stage of my life, I get more of a charge out of somebody saying, "Hey, John, I couldn't have got into this house without you," instead of making a bunch of money on the deal. It's.
yeah. Yeah, and I use my experience, again, gonna use my personal experience and ask a question. So I have two younger kids. I got a 27-year-old daughter who's got my grandson and her husband, and then I got a 25-year-old son. They're both very conservative. They don't really like to use credit cards. She's got a mortgage. They've got a mortgage, obviously, for their house, and she's got a car loan. So she's probably hitting a couple of, and got one credit card. I think she uses it, and she does her work stuff with it. To my son, who's very conservative, like I don't want, literally, I got one Discover card, and I hate using it. What's a few tips you would tell them? Because when I think about your market and who's coming up, I think about those who are out of college. No one likes to hire you for your first job out of college, right? So once you get that job, you're usually not making as much as you want to, but now you're trying to figure out what to do the next 2 to 5 years. So I think that being a rich educational target market for you, right? What would you tell those young folks who are in that age group that are just now coming out that actually ignored all the credit card offers they got in college and kept their head down and did their homework? What would you recommend they do?
Okay, so credit is not rocket science. All right.
Yeah.
People that are starting out, young people, they need to have at least 2 installments, 35% of the score. And
Okay.
I have credit builders that there's like there's Credit Strong. They can simulate like a car payment or a house payment. Bureaus want to see 2 to 3 of those. Credit cards, you need to have 2 major cards, Master Visa, 2 store cards. That's what's considered a good credit mix. And the key is with credit cards, and I beat this into my clients' heads. Um, you just only spend 20%. You use your credit cards for emergencies and to build your score. And that's pretty much it. Try and use cash for everything else. But
Right.
the key is don't go over 20%, because the way the bureaus work is this. They consider you maxed out at 75% of your limit on a card. But what they don't tell you is a maxed out card on your credit scores can cost you anywhere from 15 all the way up to 40 points per card. The lower your score is, the more they take away. So you need to just, when you buy something, what needs to go through your head is, if I cannot pay this off in 30, no more than 60 days, I will not charge it. Always pay off your card. Don't carry a balance, because it'll kill
Right.
you. It'll absolutely kill you. Because I talk to people that are 30, $40,000 in credit card debt, and they can't breathe because all the money they have is going to pay that damn interest. So it's rough.
All right. So I got another question. So you get these,
Sure.
I have very low charges on my credit cards, but I constantly get
Okay.
balance transfers, a balance transfer. And there are folks who talk about, well, I just kind of charge, I'll charge stuff up on the 20% credit card and I'll move it all over. But what the question I'm asking is it, if you got multiple credit cards, it's better to have a little bit on each one, or all of a sudden one of the companies comes by and goes, we'll give you 0% interest for 12 months. I'm going to transfer everything over there. And that balance is not going to be 80% of the limit. What's your
Well, it's
strategy
still going to
around
be 80% on that particular card. I mean, if you're moving everything over to one card, you're still going to have that
that?
issue. The key is not to get in that in the first place. And if you do get in that situation, Dave Ramsey has a site, but there's another site also. But there's a thing called the debt snowball calculator, and it's a great
Yep.
way to pay off your cards. I don't know if you've
Yep.
heard of that, but
Yeah.
but
I've heard about
um, but yeah, if you type in debt snowball calculator, don't do Dave Ramsey's, do the next one. It's better.
it.
But I appreciate that a lot for people that are in credit card debt and are trying to get out quick, because that's a good way to do it.
Okay. Great. So we talked about your current kind of business model, which is mostly around consumer credit, personal credit. So a lot of my audience here are business owners. I'm in, BNI and other groups, and I sit in there and have a lot of solopreneurs, a lot of solopreneurs who are going out and they run their business via cash. And not cash, but they're getting paid by a client, they're doing what have you. And sometimes when I work with them, we're going in and we're going, hey, you really got to have a line of credit because you never know when you might need it, right?
Right, right,
You really figure out how someday you're going to get a loan because you want to grow by X and you can't always grow that with cash. Sorry, that's just the way that America works. If you're gonna go expand trucks in the HVAC and you're gonna do it with cash, how long is it going to take you to buy a $40,000 truck, right? So
right. Need
tell
funding.
tell me a little bit about what you can do with businesses who really they're doing a good job. They're making money. They're paying themselves. They're paying their employees. They're not making a ton of money, but they're one or two collections away from not being able to make their payroll, right? And so what I tell
Right,
them is that sometimes you have clients that they can pay you. They just can't pay you for 30 more days, right? And if you're not able to make payroll, that's when you have a line of credit or you have some kind of other instrument. Tell us how you would help small businesses who are listening to this, some things you can help them with.
well, the first thing is, unfortunately, there's a ton of predatory lenders out there in the
Mm-hmm.
business field. And, if you're a businessman, you're getting inundated probably every day, people trying to sell you stuff. The whole key is to be in a good place, is you got to have a
Mm-hmm.
700 plus credit score, or you're going to get screwed. And that's the bottom
Okay.
line, because every place looks at your personal credit. So once you're at the 700 mark and you have a decent income, because they'll have different parameters as far as your income. And some places, they want you to be at least a year, 2 years in business. But the key is have a good personal credit score. And then it shouldn't be that hard. Just I only work with a couple of lenders that I trust, that I know. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
being a businessman, referrals are everything. And for yourself, you don't want to give somebody a bad referral. And like I said, there's so many companies out there. It's buyer beware. I get a few companies that I work with that if somebody does have a good credit score of 700, good income, I can hook them up, and they won't have an issue getting a loan.
Great. Thank you for giving that advice around the business credit and some who are on here listening. Um, so what's the one piece of advice you would give to other business owners, and your sage advice after 15 years of being in business? What's the one piece of advice you would give to them if they're listening in today?
Oh, gosh. I think the big thing is get your focus as far as try and focus on one main thing at a time. And that's helped me a lot. Because if you're a business, being a business owner, you have stuff coming in, you know, all the time. You're inundated. But if you can just block out time, focus on one thing, get that done, and then move on to the next, and just basically have a list of what you want to accomplish. Have your weekly list, have your monthly list, have your yearly goals, have everything set up. I don't know if you probably heard the 12-week year.
Yes, I've heard the 12-week year. And
I
I
I
keep thinking about
advise everybody to read that. And then The One Thing is another really good book
right.
by
Those are great.
um, the guy, the real estate mogul guy. He's the one that wrote
Yeah.
that. But
He
that's really
started one,
good.
yeah, he started one
Yeah,
of the real estate. He's very successful, and a lot of realtors are
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
great. So I want to wrap up here. Tell
Sure.
us again the name of your company and how someone can get a hold of you.
Yeah, it's the Credit Care Company. You can look me up
All right.
on Google. Just Google the Credit Care Company. I'm here in St. Louis, over in Sunset Hills. If anybody wants to get hold of me, 314-485-9940, or they can go to the website and email me there.
Thank you. It's been a very interesting interview and a different one. I've never interviewed a credit score person. The team did a great job finding someone in a really unique business. And I think when I look from a referral standpoint, we all know someone who, nothing against our family members or our friends, but someone who's trying to get financing for something that their score is imperfect. And there's a great way for you to help them go in and change that. So I appreciate you being on the show today. And I did want to ask you one question. What are some of the things you're thinking about in the future? Is there any things that you've thought about, areas or needs that you might want to go fill that might have a void in them?
Yeah, one of the things I'm working on right now, and I'm just getting the logistics set up, is doing a nonprofit to help
Okay.
recovery addicts. And because they come out and usually their finances or family finances are trash, we're trying to
All
help
right.
that person. And that's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm working that out. The other thing too is if anybody out there is in need of help, call me. I do free consultations, don't charge you a dime, which in consultations include credit builders, credit report review, and a personalized action plan. So I practice
Oh,
what I
that's a
preach,
great
trying to help everybody.
and that's a very honorable nonprofit to have. I get to see, someone who's coming out of rehab or something else, and they've been in there and they've had trouble on their own. Now they're trying to get their personal life in order, and then they got the demon of all
Right.
this interest hitting them over and over again, and not being able to hit certain things. And as we, now go out and buy insurance and sometimes jobs, we have to have a really good credit score. So very
Yeah,
important to be doing with them.
one of the things I saw, Mike, when I was looking and doing a little bit of research, they just give, the places that are out there just give platitudes, well, go get a security card, go do that. What I do and makes me different than anybody else is I'm give everybody a step by step. Do this, 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 that will get you this. Bottom line.
Okay,
So I'm
that's
very
great.
specific.
Thanks again for joining our YouTube channel and our podcast, and we greatly appreciate your time, energy, and your effort. Have a great holiday season as it comes up, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Mike. Appreciate it.